So this is going to be the first video about the videos I will be making about Mexican Indians, right? Indigenous. And let me just remind everyone that as I continue, every Indian in Mexico is different. I guess, Indigena is different. So this is mostly based on that type of Indian that I've met, because everyone has a different group, everyone experiences different things in lives, so not every Indian's the same. So keep in mind that I would just be talking about the specific Indians I met. Okay, so another thing is, I don't know what to title this video, but I'm going to title it Learning the Language, or how, okay, I'm going to title it Learning the Language, how they learn their language, how they learn their native language, their indigenous language. So yeah, that's the first thing I wonder, to, is like, what's up with the language? Like everything, who teaches them the language? How do they learn it? How do they practice it? Okay, so it's so many stuff that I could talk about, but I don't know exactly what to talk about. I also absorb certain things. Okay, so let's start off. How do they learn their language? Okay, I was observing them, and the small, I was surprised because the small children speak an indigenous language. Like, there was this 10-year-old and he spoke his native language, and I was like, what? The children here speak their native language? And I was like, what the hell? Like, that was like kind of surprising, and I was like, okay. So that's how it rolls out. The way they learn their native language is at home. They learn it at home from their parents, from their ancestors, and it gets passed down. That's the only way they know it. Do they know how to write in their native language? No, they do not know how to read, nor do they know how to write. All they know is how to speak. Like I could speak, right, but when it comes to a certain word, I might not be able to say it. Or when it comes, I just, since I'm not used to writing, I might forget. Who knows why they don't know how to read or write. But based on the birth certificate, I showed a video not that long ago about a Mexican Indian. It said this person does not know how to read nor write. So a lot of them don't know how to read or write in their native language, but they do know how to speak it, because it's like when you hear your parents talk to you in your native language, or the language you're speaking to. I don't know if it's considered your native, like if it might be native, I'm not sure. But if they're speaking to in the language they speak and their ancestors spoke or they learned, obviously, then you're gonna speak that language. But if they never teach you, then you're not gonna know. So they learn it by talking with each other, by the community. They speak it, and that's how they learn it. They are bilingual. I mean, everyone has their definition of bilingual, right? But whatever, I'm going to describe them as bilingual. Most of them are bilingual, as in they speak Spanish and their native language, their indigenous language. Sorry, I keep confusing in native and indigenous. It does not matter to me, but certain people like to specify it. But they are bilingual, as in they speak their native language and their Spanish, which is I'm not sure what Spanish is considered in Mexico. I'm sorry, but I know that the government forces the Spanish. The Mexican government first forces the Spanish on its people, on the Indians. It forces the Spanish, so it obligates, not really obligates, because they don't have to go to school. Most of them didn't go to school, but it obligates the language Spanish, because everything's in Spanish, the whole constitution and stuff. So where was I going? They are bilingual, and they don't write or read in Spanish. Most of them cannot read or write in Spanish. That's why there's fingerprints. But obviously, as the years have progressed, most of them are improved. So that's something shocking. How could you speak your native language and you cannot write in it? You speak your native language, but you cannot write in it. And most of the children still speak it, because I was talking to this 10-year-old. Well, I wasn't really talking. I talked to him, but he was speaking his native language, and I was talking to them, and I don't know what he's saying, but they told me, they didn't say it like offensive, but they said at home we only speak my indigenous language. So they said at home we don't speak any Spanish. We speak our native language. And to some people it might seem offensive, but it's like, it shouldn't be offensive. I'm not trying to cause controversy, but I mean, if you speak, obviously if that's your language, that's your ancestors' language, and the school teaches you that, and when you have to go to the doctor, the doctors don't speak your native language. They only speak Spanish. Most doctors speak Spanish. So when you go far, like when they have to go to the doctor, it's pretty far, and they have to speak Spanish. So because they're obligated, right? Like there's no translators. That's part of the discrimination they face. But it is what it is. And yeah, they told me at home we only speak. I kind of doubted it. I don't know why I was doubting it. I was doubting it, but I was as I was observing, they do speak their native language. It was like, I was like, huh, and I was absorbing, and every time everyone talked around each other, it's like, and when they talked with the community, like with the neighbors, they would be like, they wouldn't be like, oh, buenos dias, like, ¿cómo te fue hoy? Like something like that. They didn't want like that. They were like, they don't talk like that, but I don't know how to speak their native language. But yeah, so at home with the community around them, they speak their native language. They have words for their native language, like for tree, for house, for pigs, dogs, the river. They have it in their own. They have their own words for that, their own native words. But if they don't, they usually have a Spanish name to it. For example, like I'm not sure. Like I saw a bunch of butterflies; they were beautiful, and they said mariposas. They said, "Oh," I told them, "How do you say mariposas in your native language?" They were like, "Mm, mariposa is the same. It's the same. We don't really have a word, just mariposa. They don't have a specific name, because every butterfly has a specific name, but they didn't know the specific name. It was a beautiful butterfly. It was beautiful. It was blue. It was beautiful. But yeah, they don't. What was I saying? They have their own words for their own things, and yeah, most of the time I just see them speaking in their native language, unless they have to leave their town to go somewhere else, like to the doctor. The doctor will not talk to you in your native language, will not help you. Well, they will help you, but you know what I mean. So that's the only thing I seen them speak Spanish. Or like where you go to a community, like if you go to another community to buy food where they don't speak where they don't speak what? Where they don't speak their native language, they have to speak Spanish. And okay, let's move on. So at home, like I said, they learn their native language just by speaking it. And the Mexican government does not offer services in their languages. Basically, it's like the United States, where you're forced to learn English no matter where you come from. You're forced to learn English. It's not really forcing, I'm just saying in that way. I'm sorry, I don't know the right word, but where it's just like, because everything is in English, right? Or whatever, however you want to put it. But yeah, like they don't, at school all they could learn is Spanish, and that's it. Do you want, like, they told me just a little bit. Like I told them, did you teach you your native language at school? It's just a little bit, some little bit writing a long time ago, but not really. They don't just teach me Spanish. The government teaches only Spanish, like everything in Spanish, the math, the English. I mean the English. They teach English too. Believe it or not, how is it that they're teaching English but they're not teaching them their native language? You know, it's pure politics. It's pure discrimination. You know, it's everywhere in the North and South America and the Americas, all over the Americas. You're gonna see this hypocrisy where you're gonna be teaching a language that is not official, yeah, you're gonna be teaching a foreign language. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's very hypocritical when, if I'm like, if I was born there and the government is not teaching me my language, but it's teaching me Spanish, and then yet it's teaching me English, but not my language. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? But that's how things are, and they're not gonna really change. But I understand, I mean, why the Mexican government tries to teach them, because obviously it wants to educate them, and the ones that manage to pass on through may come to the US, but that's not really true, you know. I was asking some of the people, like, hey, where do you want to, like, I was saying, how are you? It's like, I was talking to some girl, they're like, oh, yes, I want to go to the, I'm like, yeah, she was like, I wanted to go to El DF, you know, the Mexico City, where they have the, I guess, the best universities, because Mexico City is a big city. I guess that has the best universities out there. I'm not really sure, but from what I heard, they have the best universities or colleges or whatever in Mexico City. So she was like, yeah, I applied to there. So that's why, like, I guess maybe if they, I mean, because at universities you have to learn English or something and Spanish, you know, that's the only thing they'll teach you there. Obviously, because when you go to a Mexican university, you're gonna have to do everything in Spanish. That is true. Same if you go to a university here in the US, you're gonna have to learn Spanish. I mean, English. Everything is in English, no matter what your language is. You have to learn English if you want to go to university, because no one's gonna help you. So yeah, I don't understand the English part. Why the Mexican teaches Mexican government? Oh, I'm not really sure if it's the Mexican government or it's the state. It's you know, it's the state's fault too. The state and the government, but the government rules everything. So it teaches English, but yet y'all know what I mean. So yeah, that's that. So that's how they learn Spanish. That's how the Indians learn Spanish, because of the school system in Mexico, and because that's the only thing they teach. They teach Spanish, and I guess they teach a foreign language, even though Spanish is a foreign language too. But they teach it's English and Spanish, and that's how they learn. So yeah, that's it. That's how they learn. That makes them bilingual. But since they know how to read, some, like the younger generation is starting. I mean, I started to get educated where many Indians didn't graduate school, didn't go to school. I don't know the reason. I should have asked. Like, most of them didn't even go to school. I guess either they didn't want to learn Spanish, they didn't want to learn any of that. They had to. I mean, I don't really know the reason behind it, but I should have asked. I should write this down. Why the older generation, like maybe like 18 years ago, didn't, or 20 years ago, around 20 years ago, they didn't go to school. Like, was there no school? Because there was really no schools. They're starting to build them and progress. But I heard, like, I was talking to this guy that was like maybe 38 years old, 40 years old, and he was going to school. I was like, what the hell? I'm like, I was gonna say, why the fuck are you going to school? You're 40 years old. Like, I'm kind of confused. But he's like, yeah, I went to school today and to learn. I was like, what the fuck? You're 40? Like, did you go with the. I don't know. I was confused. I was trying to figure that out, but I didn't figure it out. I didn't want to. Because I was there asking too many questions, blah, blah, blah. I already said this. But I wasn't really sure. But I think they have adult programs where you could educate yourself, like with Spanish, learning Spanish that way, because Spanish leads you the way out of poverty. I guess I don't know. I'm not really sure. That's it. Anything else about the language? Yeah, each group speak a different language. So this Indian might be this Indian. Are these words similar? I'm not sure. I couldn't figure that out yet because they would talk, and I don't know if they had like the same word for the same thing. You know what I mean? Like for tree, they might have been like said this, but this person might have said it differently, or they might have said it the same. They come from completely different groups of indigenous people, but they have the same words, or they come from different types of indigenous people, but they have the similar words. I'm not sure. I couldn't figure that out. I wish I did figure it out. I wish I should have put two Indians together and so they could talk and see if they understood each other. But unfortunately, I could not do that. But it would have been awesome if I would have been able to do that, but I didn't. Okay, uh, that's it. That's today's video about language, and thanks for watching. And I hope this doesn't seem too like negative, where I'm talking. I don't know, because I don't like being negative, and I don't want to be like, oh yeah, that's true, or like talk bad about any government or anything like that. And I hope this made sense. If I said something wrong, then write it in the comments down below. That way, or if I said something that I didn't understand, anyone that's watching can write it down. That way, it makes sense. That's why I understand. That would be like, huh, okay, it makes sense now. So, or if I said something wrong, so I could correct it too on this video. I'm not. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.